Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man back. He's the CEO over the Jewish News Syndicate. It is Alex Traiman. Alex, how are you? Good to see you again.
Joe, doing well. Thanks. Good to be here.
You and yours are safe?
Trying to stay safe over here, yeah.
I'm not sure I understand. I look at a map and you guys are surrounded by people who don't like you, or some who are indifferent, but many of them just don't like Israel. Yet for some reason, there are loud voices over here in the West, and even right there in Europe, which is still part of the West, that are saying things that don't make sense, as if somehow Israel needs to capitulate, or Israel needs to do something different, or Israel needs to do a ceasefire, which is not victory. That's just stopping the firing, which I don't think Hezbollah and Hamas would agree with that. So what are your thoughts in general on the West having some loud voices involved, acting as if you guys did something here?
They don't want Israel to win the war. They don't
Why?
want Israel to change the balance of power in the Middle East. They are always trying to achieve this nuanced balance between powers in the Middle East. They want Israel to be balanced against the Palestinians. They want Israel to be balanced against Iran. They want the Saudis to be balanced against Iran. They don't want Israel to be the dominant force in the Middle East. And that's what a victory means. It's not just that if Israel wins the war, that they're safe from terrorists. It means that Israel is going to be the dominant regional superpower in a region where the other powers are no longer going to trust the West, and they don't want that.
Yeah, but the other powers don't trust the West as it is. Iran hates us. Death to America every day in Parliament. I don't think there's a lot of love for us in Lebanon or Yemen. I'm not sure I understand. What exactly are we? Afghanistan hates us and just rolled out some new restrictions on women by the Taliban. So again, are these people just a little bit neurotically not there? I mean, there's something like John Kerry. Does he think that he can appease Iran to where Iran suddenly likes us? Does he think that's possible?
Well, they want all the powers to be beholden to them and reliant on them. And so that's why they keep everybody in this low-level conflict where everybody's fighting all the time, everybody's reliant on them, but nobody wins. They don't want Iran to wipe Israel off the map, but they certainly don't want the state of Israel to move past this idea of a two-state solution, or to make it that Iran and its terror proxies don't exist anymore.
It is Alex Traiman. Go to it's jns.org, right, Alex?
Exactly.
Okay, go there right now. I want to ask you about France. I'm confused about France. Every time somebody wants to take over Europe, or anytime somebody who wants to do something bad will go after France because they're weak in leadership. The French people might be good, but the leadership sucks there. We have to save them. We saved them in World War II. Yet, for some reason, Macron has come out and basically just said, like yesterday or the day before, Israel was created by the UN, and almost as if to say, act like it. Does he not know the history of 3,000, 4,000 years of of being the Jewish land? I mean, when you hear somebody like that, who's so disconnected and who is so off-putting when it comes to Israel, like blowing you guys off like you're no big deal and you should get in line, what is the reaction in Israel?
Well, at this point, Israel's not really taking him seriously, but they are looking at what Macron is saying and recognizing that he's not speaking roguely. He's not speaking on his own. He's also speaking on behalf of the United States that uses Macron to send out trial balloons. When you hear that France is saying, don't transfer weapons to Israel. Now, France doesn't transfer a lot of weapons to Israel. Who does transfer a lot of weapons to Israel? The United States.
Yeah.
So they're actually using France to send these test messages out there and to send messages that are basically coming from the West, but they're using Macron as their little front puppet right now. And that's why also you see Netanyahu punching back at him so hard. And he's come out even just tonight making very sharp statements against Macron. And he's actually sending a message to the Biden administration by doing that.
What's interesting is it's not really the Biden administration. It's more of the Harris administration, or it's actually more of the Harris candidacy. She's trying to straddle some line with you guys and with Hamas and with Hezbollah that doesn't make any sense to me. She, at the same time, thinks Israel has the ability or should have the ability to defend itself, while at the same time the Palestinians have some sort of control of their destiny. What is that? And again, how is that received by you, somebody who's a CEO of a news organization, and how is it received by the people of Israel when she says that?
Well, I mean, the people don't trust her, and the people here in Israel, it's very important to understand, all around the world, everybody fell for Barack Obama when he became president. Remember, the UN gave him, he won a Nobel Peace Prize in the first year of his presidency,
right.
An aspirational peace prize. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Donald Trump broker 4 different normalization agreements with Arab countries. The greatest peace normalization deals in the last quarter century.
Yes.
Nobody considers them at all. And I think that people recognize that Harris is just the continuation of the Obama administration. People here saw Donald Trump as being the greatest president that's helped Israel move its move its mission forward, and people don't even think that Harris will be as pro-Israel as Biden was. People here believe that at least Biden was part of the old guard, where he had met previous Israeli prime ministers and had been part of all these weapons deals and other things like that over the decades, and they see Harris as being even more progressive than Biden, and just as progressive as Obama. So they don't trust her when they hear her saying things like that.
He's an award-winning documentary filmmaker. He's also the CEO of the Jewish News Syndicate. Go to jns.org. It's Alex Traiman. She keeps saying two-state solution. She keeps saying we want peace, although she's not saying that about Ukraine. Is that double standard? Is that obvious to you as you sit in Israel wondering when the next rocket is coming in? Kamala Harris wants us to keep sending billions of dollars to an unwinnable war in Ukraine, yet she wants you guys to have a ceasefire and somehow have peace.
That's exactly the point. It's actually consistent. They are always trying to keep these unwinnable wars going. Okay, by calling for a ceasefire, what you are basically doing is saying that you are guaranteeing that you want to see the next round of conflict. You just want there to be a temporary ceasefire, maybe until after you get to the election or after your first year in office, but you know that there's going to be another round of conflict. Okay, that's why they keep pouring money into Ukraine, to keep that conflict going as long as possible. And that's why they talk about a Palestinian state, because they want to try to achieve balance here. They don't want Israel to be the dominant force, even in the land of Israel, and they don't want it to be the dominant force in the Middle East. So that's why they call for an immediate ceasefire, because they know that Israel's on the precipice of changing the face of this entire region, that Israel is beating back Iran's proxies one by one. We started with Hamas. They're almost completely decimated. We filed down about 50% of the capabilities of Hezbollah. We're now about to attack Iran. If we take out the head of the terror octopus, we take out the Houthis afterwards, that's going to change the face of this region for 2 decades at least, and maybe much longer. And they don't want to see that.
It's Alex Traiman. Alex, it brings a question to my mind. And again, a two-state solution can't happen. It might have been something you could talk about before the attack of October 7th, but no way it's going to happen now. I don't see a ceasefire happening either, and I'm glad that Netanyahu is not listening to Joe Biden or Obama or whoever's running things. But the thing that jumps out at me is this. I know plenty of Muslims that surround Israel don't want an all-out war in the Middle East. I know they don't. If they did, all of those countries already would have tried to attack. These are small segments of countries that have been radicalized in a major way, that the Jews must die, their blood must run in the streets, Israel can't exist, Palestine from the river to the sea. So knowing that, at what point does the leadership of Israel have an opportunity to talk to the peace-loving people surrounding Israel and say, listen, how can you help us stop this? Because right now, a lot of people that are surrounding Israel are sitting it out. They're sort of watching to see what's going to happen. Are they waiting for the election to happen in the United States? What are they waiting for to raise up and say, enough, we should stop this now?
Well, I don't know if they have the power to stop Iran from doing what they're doing. They're actually looking and waiting to see what Israel's going to do. Israel has the possibility right now to normalize relations with many countries in the region. First and foremost is Saudi Arabia. In fact, one of the reasons why Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th was because Israel was careening towards a normalization agreement with the Saudis. If Israel normalizes with the Saudis, that's effectively the end of this greater Arab-Israeli conflict, right? And it really sidelines the Palestinians. It takes away their veto over peace. So what they did is they declared war. They said, no, we will have the veto over peace. We will decide when there's peace with Israel. And that's why they've declared war on us. Meanwhile, the Saudis and others are looking at Israel. Now, Israel is supposed to be one of the most technologically advanced and battle-ready militaries in the world.
Right.
What they want to see is Israel complete the job. They want to see Israel defeat Hamas. They want to see Israel defeat Hezbollah. And they'd like to see Israel confront Iran. That's what they're counting on Israel to do. If Israel can't beat Hamas, can't beat Hezbollah, can't beat Iran, what does Israel offer to these countries, right? So this is what they're waiting for. And I think that if we do see a conclusive end to this war with Israel out on top, I think you're going to rapidly see normalization with Saudi Arabia and with several other countries. But it's not going to be before the election, and I don't think it's going to be before the end of this intensive round of conflict.
It is Alex Traiman, the CEO of Jewish News Syndicate. You know, what you just said really, really piqued my interest. I'm not a religion expert, although I try to learn as much as I can about as much as I can. I know that Israel is the promised land. I know that Jews and Christians get along very well. We have a lot in common. I know a lot about about Islam. Although I don't practice it, I know the dangers of Islam if you follow it by the laws of abrogation. If you radicalize somebody and raise them to hate a certain people because of their religious beliefs or their geography, they're going to believe that until they die. But what you said about Saudi Arabia jumps out. I, as a layperson here in the United States, thought Saudi Arabia was the penultimate spot for Islam. It is. That's where Mecca is. But it sounds like you're saying Iran is really holding the cards. Why? Why isn't Saudi Arabia more important than Iran?
Well, Iran is Shiite and Saudis are Sunni.
Right. But that's where Mecca is, though.
Correct. But they're almost different religions.
Really?
Shiite and Sunni, and they're both fighting for dominance of Islam. They both would like to see, a caliphate created of sorts, and the Iranians have taken the more extreme path right now, and they're trying to create this entire land bridge from Iran through Iraq, through Syria, through Lebanon, all the way down to Gaza, all the way down to Yemen. They're trying to establish themselves as the leaders of the caliphate. So this is a religious battle that's actually taking place in the Middle East between the forces of Iran and the forces of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but if I'm right, though, Hamas is Sunni and Hezbollah is Shia. So they're just going to get along until Israel's gone, then they'll hate each other again? Exactly.
That's exactly what happens.
Wow.
It's the enemy of your enemy is your friend, for the purposes of this battle. But at some point, yes, there's no doubt about it. When Jews aren't in the picture, Muslims kill Muslims. I mean, more Muslims get killed by Muslims than by any other religion.
And that's something. It is Alex Traiman, the CEO of the Jewish News Syndicate, jns.org. Where are we right now? Is Hezbollah still sending rockets over every night? Are they still doing drone attacks every night? I know that they did one recently that killed 61 people, including some IDF soldiers. Where are we right now?
Killed 4 people and injured several others.
Injured 61, right.
And injured as many as 67 Israeli troops in a military base in the north. They are firing at Israel every single day right now. They're even intensifying the weaponry in which they're sending over. Before they were just sending less powerful short-range missiles, and they're now firing deeper into Israel, sending stronger weapons. These suicide drones that they're sending in, also very powerful. As we saw this one happen, but Israel at the same time is fighting back, and they've already filed down up to 50% of Hezbollah's capabilities, according to the Israeli defense minister. But we're actually at this moment where Israel's on serve, basically, to strike Iran. Everybody knows it's coming. Everybody knows that it's going to be meaningful. But nobody knows exactly what the scope of Israel's attack is going to be, whether they're going to hit the nuclear facilities, whether they're going to go after oil facilities in Iran, whether they're just going to target military installations and potentially seat of government, or go after top leaders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or maybe after Khamenei himself, if they have that intelligence and ability to do it. And then, of course, what might Iran's response be? So it could very well be that we are now, while we're fighting against Hezbollah, on the precipice of a major expanded conflict between Israel and Iran directly.
It is Alex Traiman and JNS.org. He's the CEO there. Alex, I remember during the war in Afghanistan, I would ask people from the administration, whether it be Trump or even before that, what does victory look like? And nobody seemed to know what a win was. The war in Iraq. What was victory? You killed Saddam Hussein. Was it over? I mean, we don't, since like Vietnam, we don't know what victory is. If I were to ask you just one simple question, what does victory look like? Does that mean everybody in Hamas is dead, everybody in Hezbollah is dead, and Iran says, sure, go ahead and exist? I mean, what has to happen for Israel to say, we won this war?
Well, in Gaza. It means that Hamas is no longer the political entity in charge of the Strip and no longer has the military capabilities to attack Israel. In Lebanon, it means that Hezbollah no longer has the ability to threaten the home front with long-range rockets. It means that Hezbollah is pushed back past the Litani River, about 15 to 20 miles north of Israel's border, and hopefully that Hezbollah is replaced even as a party in the parliament, that they shouldn't have any political backing inside Lebanon as well. And ultimately, the real victory in the war would be that the Iranian clerics with their fingers on the nuclear button are no longer in power. I think that the way you really get this war to end is to turn Iran back over from this Islamic Republic, which took over in 1979, and return this once great beacon of culture back over to the Iranian people to pursue a true path of peace and moderation instead of this Islamic caliphate.
If those who are listening and watching are wondering what Alex is talking about, look up videos from Iran in the 1970s. The beaches were filled with people enjoying their freedoms. They were loving what was going on. The Shah wasn't all good, but it certainly was an awful lot better than this. So it's I'm glad that you went there. Let me ask you one last question about Lebanon. How did it become this radicalized thing? Was it in the 1980s? Because my wife has an uncle that was from Lebanon. He's a Christian. It seemed as though Lebanon had 40 or 50% Christians there, and now it appears to be no Christians there. What happened?
Well, there's still about a third Christian.
Is it a third? Okay.
So it's about a third. Yeah, it's actually split pretty evenly between a third Maronite Christian, a third approximately Shiite, and a third Sunni. So there's a major split, which means that it's hard for any one religious group to have the dominant political power in the country. The country, like so many others in the Middle East, have suffered economically, and that has allowed forces like Hezbollah to grow their footprint inside Lebanon. You're correct that already from the early 80s, Hezbollah was a very serious force. In fact, Israel had attacked southern Lebanon in the early 80s and actually withdrew in the 80s. We remember that there was the bombing of the Marine barracks that killed over 240 Marines. I think that was either 1981 or 1982. And with time, Hezbollah's continued to build up, and Israel's never finished them off. We had a war with Lebanon in 2006, and ultimately we pulled back from Lebanon and we signed this UN Resolution 1701, which called for UNIFIL, UN peacekeepers, to come in and guarantee that Hezbollah would not militarize southern Lebanon. Of course, it was a huge disaster.
Of course.
And now, ironically, they're refusing to get out of the way as Israel goes into southern Lebanon and has ordered them to move from their posts. They're staying put right where they are to actually provide cover to Hezbollah, and they're also reporting Israeli troop movements to Hezbollah and to France and to the United States and elsewhere. So I think Israel's learned the lessons of these mistakes, and they're going to go all the way this time.
The whole idea of a ceasefire doesn't work. That's proof.
There's not going to be a ceasefire until Israel feels that they can return the 80,000 residents that they've evacuated from their homes near the northern border back to their homes, and that there can be peace between Israel and Lebanon for the next 10 to 20 years. There's not going to be a ceasefire until Israel knows that that's the case.
CEO of the Jewish News Syndicate, it's Alex Traiman. Alex, thanks for the update. I pray for your safety, and I pray that this thing ends with a victory for Israel. Thanks for coming back on, my friend.
Amen. Thank you so much, Joe.
All right, brother. We're back after this. Stay right here.